At the beginning of the new year, the one thing on people's minds when it comes to clutter is what exactly do I need to be successful? We believe we have the answer. And in today's podcast, we're going to share the 6 steps we believe are critical for decluttering success.
You're listening to the Declutter Hub podcast, bringing you tried and tested, no-nonsense tips and advice from the leading experts in decluttering and organising your home. Now here are your hosts, Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome, listeners. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Leslie.
If you're new to the Declutter Hub podcast, you're so welcome here. Thanks so much for listening in. It's a brand new year, brand new you. And maybe you thought, I'm going to kickstart 2023 by listening for some inspiration and motivation. And listen to a podcast. And maybe you found us and you're like, so we wanted to say hello. Thank you for being here. And if you've been listening in for a while, we appreciate you so much. Thanks so much. And don't forget to hit that follow button on your podcast player.
It's a very big moment in the decluttering calendar, isn't it, Ingrid? 2023, the beginning of the new year, everyone is raring to go with those New Year's resolutions and things. And we are lucky because we are right slap bang in the middle of a New Year's challenge. So if you've not signed up yet, why not? You need to be in it well, there's nothing to win, but it just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, in it to win it. But you need to be in it to make progress. Can you find out all about all these lovely things that we're talking about today on the podcast? And so we just thought, let's start the new year and let's get things back to basics. Over the last 12, 13 years that Ingrid and I have been professional organisers, what do we think are the critical things that you need for success? And we're going to list them out one by one and tell you a few little nuggets along the way of things that you might want to tweak and change to make it happen. 2023 is going to be the year, isn't it, Ingrid?
Yeah, so before we start, Leslie, I wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone. I mean, I think you can still say that on Friday the 6th, right? Happy New Year. So yes,
when do people stop saying that? You know, you get this awkward thing when you've never spoke to somebody, don't you, for a few weeks, and then people are still saying Happy New Year on the 20th or 21st. I bet you're still quite happy to say it in February. I'm kind of done by about now. I'm like, okay, no, we don't want to say Happy New Year now, but that's just me being miserable as per usual. And you've been all happy clappy and you're like, oh, I've not spoken to you in 2023. Happy New Year.
Yes, anyway. I know, you know me so well. And I don't think you're miserable at all, Leslie. I think you're just more like, right, okay, it's done. We're in it now. Let's do this.
Exactly. So let's get cracking.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to get through. So let's talk about the most important things that we think you need for decluttering success this year and any year, and at any point that you decide to do something. Number one on our list is inspiration. We need inspiration from people to give us ideas, to make sure that we're learning all the time. Where do we find that inspiration from, Ingrid?
Well, I think we find it from different places. I mean, I think people watch a lot of YouTube videos, they look at magazines, they scroll on Instagram and see all these beautiful pictures of houses. Maybe you're a Pinterest lover and you love seeing all the ideas in other people's lives. So there's lots of ways we can be inspired.
Yes, Ingrid, there's so many ways to be inspired, and there's so many people trying to inspire us, which is an absolutely brilliant thing. But what do we think about the fact that we might have tons and tons and tons of people all trying to get us to inspire us in different ways? What do we think about that?
Well, on the first instance, it sounds great, doesn't it? Like, oh, I'm going to try that. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to do that. But then the problem is we get a complete information overwhelm, don't we? Because the thing is, everybody shares something different with you. Some people say, oh, decant all your cereals and your pastas in beautiful containers and label them. And other people go, no, don't even worry about that. Just do it in your cupboard and make sure you find it and use it. And other people go, roll your socks in your knickers. And other people go, no, just make sure you put it all in the drawer because then you can find it. You get conflicting information.
Yeah, it's that's one of the big problems when we immerse ourselves in the decluttering world. And at the moment, even if we're not immersing ourselves in that world, there's lots of things coming in our pathway, isn't there? Because lots of people are talking about it right now, which is absolutely brilliant. And all of these ideas are fantastic. But the difference is you. So what you've got to work out is, how does this fit into my way of doing things, into what I typically know about myself, and how I can implement it, how much time I've got, and how meticulous I'm going to be, and things like that. So whilst everything looks incredible, you still need to work it out in your life. How does that fit into your life? That's the mistake that we see, and people jump around, don't they, Ingrid? And so sometimes when we see this inspiration, we jump from one inspirational post to another, and we don't get to the point of execution, which is really important. So let's talk about execution. That's a bit of a strong word, execution, isn't it?
Let's call it implementation then, Leslie.
Let's call it implementation.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Execution seems quite strong. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, but we know what we mean. So let's talk about implementation. This is something that often gets missed out, isn't it? And it's very, very critical. We actually need to do the doing to get stuff done.
You know what, Leslie? It's so easy to go, okay, I'm going to set some time aside, and then other things happen. And then that half an hour or that well-meaning time I had planned to get some decluttering done gets left out because life gets in the way. And then we move it forward. And we don't actually put the time in our diary and go, this is when I'm going to work on my house and on my clutter. And what we see a lot is that, like, we jump from one YouTube video to one checklist to the other, and we flick through a magazine and get inspired here and there. It's also with implementation. It's like, okay, oh, they're doing a challenge over there. It's free. Let me sign up. Or, oh, they're giving something away there. Or they're doing a working together day. And we jump on all these different bandwagons, but everybody teaches their own system and their own way of doing things. And what we're saying is, you need to use this time for implementation to actually get the work done, and put in practice. Put the hours in, put the time in, because that's the only way you're going to get out of clutter.
Yeah, it's interesting. In 2022, one of the things that we introduced into the membership was success sessions. It's something that we wanted to do for a while. It just took us a little while to get them off the ground. And now we have 2 or 3 a week, every week, don't we? And we basically, what we do is we come together with a group of people, go onto Zoom, commit 50 minutes of work, and get something done. And that can be any number of things, can't it, Ingrid? It can be a decluttering project. It can be a reset, a morning reset. It can be doing some paperwork, doing some shredding, doing some learning. It can be any of those things. But honestly, just committing that hour and having the accountability to know that you have to turn up at a certain time is absolutely critical to people's success, isn't it? And it really has kind of turned the dial on people's implementation and the progress that they are making. So something as simple as that, obviously within our membership, we have, scheduled success sessions, in our podcast every week, we will have, we will ask you, what are you going to do this weekend? And hopefully you can implement something that you have learned out of our podcast. In our challenges, we will give people daily homework. And so there's a little bit of something that people need to do to implement what they have learned, because we can get stuck at the kind of learning and inspirational part of things and never get to the implementation. So we really need to get that job done, don't we?
Yes, and I think that's when people actually set the time aside to do something, then they start to get those wins. Oh, I did that drawer, I did that shelf. Oh, I can actually find my Tupperware now. I actually know that I've got a tin of soup in my cupboard and I don't need to buy another one. They start to get those wins because they work on that implementation. Critical, a key step in your success.
Absolutely. Now, you alluded to the fact, Ingrid, that there are lots of different types of decluttering advice out there, which is true, all of which are fantastic, of course. Do you know what I mean? And certainly we have our own way of doing things here as well at the Declutter Hub, which hopefully, if you're listening, that you like the sound of that. But I think it's really important for you to work out fairly early on in your decluttering journey, if you're committed to a decluttering journey, what you need to do is obviously go out there and, do your shopping, go and have a look and go, okay, what are the different options out here? There's this person, there's that person, there's this YouTube video, there's this membership, there's this podcast, whatever that might be, and look and see what really resonates with you. Where do you feel like, where do you connect? It's really important that you jump into a system that connects with you, that you understand, that feels like it's the right fit for you. Because what we've seen so many times, we've been doing this a long time, is that people flip from one system to another, never quite working out what they should be doing, or try and work with 2 or 3 systems at the same time. And then it's kind of can be confusing. And so it's almost like a case of where you need to find your lane, which is the difficult bit sometimes, isn't it? Find the people that are going to gel with you, and then stick to your lane, and then take out all the noise almost, So if you decide on one system that's going to work for you, commit to that system and don't worry about all the other stuff. You can come back to it later, of course, to kind of fine tune things. But, if you're really going through a decluttering journey, we think it's really important, don't we? Because we see people, even within not within our membership, because once people come in our membership, they're completely committed to our system. And this is not us saying we're the best system, not at all. We're just saying we have members that connect with us because of the way that we teach. And so if you're not familiar with us, we are very much about the emotions and habits that sit behind the clutter. So to us, the stuff, getting rid of the stuff, letting go of stuff that you no longer need, is almost a byproduct of decluttering. And what we want to do is get to the core emotions and habits that have held us back for many, many years. So typically the people that we work with, that work best with us, are those that have an irrational holding on to things, that may have suffered with clutter for many, many years, or have had some kind of traumatic experience that has meant that the clutter has got out of control all of a sudden. So those are our best fit people, aren't they, Ingrid? And so, but that's a certain way of doing things. And there are many people out there who are like, you know what, I'm just a busy person. I'm never getting around to this, and I just need to wipe the slate clean and move on. And I don't find these decisions difficult. And so it's about finding that right fit, isn't it?
Yes, I think the right fit is crucial for when you're decluttering, but you can also relate it to other areas of your life as well. You know when you're in the right job around the nice colleagues, when you feel good with maybe a hobby that you do and the friends you hang out with. I think a decluttering journey is the same thing. You need to find the people that you think, I like them. I feel happy with them. I think I want to listen to them. I trust their expertise. I trust what they're saying to me. I trust their process. And I think that all comes part of that learning, because I think when you trust the people that you're working with, the learning will go in, because you go, okay, I might have never done it before like that, but Ingrid and Leslie have been doing this for a very, very long time. They've helped so many people. They know what they're talking about. And I really want to do it my way, but I'm going to listen to them now, and I'm going to follow their system, and I'm going to take all the learning in. And that's when we see the success happen as well.
And I think, just talk about the 3 things that we've spoken about already: inspiration, implementation, and learning. I think it's really important that the learning part actually happens, because I think that sometimes, and we've all done it, where we buy into a program, we buy a course, we sign up for something, and we almost feel that just the purchase of the thing is going to make it happen for us. And so I've done it like a million times, so no judgment here. But, actually we have to do it. We have to do the learning. We have to understand the system. And we also, it's also really important to make sure that the kind of teaching that's happening within a membership, within a podcast, whatever, is suitable for you. We've got people who are like, a podcast doesn't suit me, I prefer to read. And so then we've got our blogs. And so, different things work well with different people. Some people like bite-sized things. Some people like things that are a little bit deeper. Some people are very motivated by our Q&A. Some people love our member challenges. And so people are motivated by different types of learning, which is why we try and spread, we try and have a lot of different types of tools that are going to resonate with different people. Yeah. But it's really, really important to work out what kind of learning suits you, to do the learning, and then to implement what you have learned. And so it's all very interconnected, isn't it? You can't have one without the other, really. But the learning is key. And what we find sometimes is that a lot of people don't do the learning bit of it and just think That's what I'm going to do, but I'm still going to do what I've always done. And then we think that you're always going to get what you've always got. You need to be open to change, I think, don't you?
Yeah. I think, Leslie, I think the bottom line is we want to affect change in people's mindsets.
Yeah.
That's the long-term goal that we want to happen within our membership, with our members. We want them to go, oh, wow, I had never looked at it this way. It goes so much deeper than indeed putting something you no longer want in a bin bag to declutter or to give away or to donate or whatever it is. We want to change mindsets with people. And I think that is what makes us tick, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, and you have to go deeper into that learning to get that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about something else that really helps people in our, particularly in our podcasts and our challenges, really, and then sometimes in our member videos and show rounds and things like that, is light bulb moments. We love a light bulb moment, and these are the things where you're like, oh yeah, of course. So you just hear something and you think, I've never thought about it in that way before, but that can be kind of life-changing, but it can be quite impactful. And so I think these little light bulb moments are really critical to success, because there are so many people who go, what changed things for you? It was that day when somebody said that thing and I went, oh yes, I get it now. So light bulb moments are really critical, aren't they, as well?
You know what, Leslie? My favorite thing is when our listeners, when our Facebook group members, when the people that are in our world email us and go, I've been following you girls for a while and you talked about this, that, or the other, or I saw a post on Instagram or on your Facebook group and it resonated with me so much and I loved it. And suddenly it all started to make sense to me. And those are like, those are the emails we love to receive, don't we, Leslie? When we really kind of go, they've had a light bulb moment. How amazing is that? And I think when you have those, you get a more positive outlook on, I can do this. I feel I can do this and I'm feeling positive about it. And I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I do it all the time when we have our success sessions as well with our members. I'm like, yes, we've worked together for 50 minutes. Give yourself a pat on the back. Well done. And in the beginning, everybody's been like, patting themselves on the back, looking around, going, what are we? But now they're like, yeah, we did it. Let's do this. Come on. And it's such a positive way to either start, finish, or be in the middle of a day to give yourself that, I did that. Come on, great.
Exactly. So I love a light bulb moment. So let's to recap the 4 that we've done already. So we've talked about inspiration. You need to get that inspiration from magazines. Implementation, super, super critical. Learning, you actually need to find the right learning and do the learning. And then take those light bulb moments on board. Now, I want to talk about the next one on our steps, Ingrid, which is consistency. I think consistency is so important, isn't it? Because quite often when people view a decluttering project, it is as a project and not as a process. So we're very behind the idea that sadly decluttering is a permanent cycle of things that we have to do and it never ends. It gets a lot easier, it gets simpler, we incorporate it into our lives much more, but we need to be consistent and we need to understand that this doesn't go away and it's not a one-off thing. And I think, so many people consider it to be, I'm doing my kitchen this weekend and that's me, job done. Do you know what I mean? And I'll do it again in a year's time, which may well be the case. But if you do a little bit often, like Ingrid and I very rarely do big decluttering projects, do we? Because we're always chipping away at it. And so we never get to that stage where it's like, oh, I need to go back into the garage and do that again, because we've always continually seen a shelf as we walk into the garage and going, yeah, actually, that needs a little bit of a tidy up. Let's just do that one shelf rather than the whole thing. And it becomes this mammoth project. And consistency is also important when it comes to daily resets and keeping on top of things and maintenance as well, isn't it?
I think it's crucial. I think what a lot of people get stuck on, because they get stuck on that overwhelm. I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. And in their mind, they go, I just need to tackle that room. And then everything is going to be fine. But we then forget that actually that room then needs maintenance. It needs resetting to make sure it doesn't fall back to how it was. And I was actually watching a television program and somebody said they had a really messy dining room table. And the lady said, oh, it always comes back like that. Well, yes, if you don't tidy up your dining room table or your kitchen table or your kitchen counter, every day and leave it and leave it and leave it, then after a week and a half, it looks like it's an absolute total mess and nothing. And then it's going to take you a long time to set it all straight. Well, if you do something like a kitchen reset every day, 2 times 5 or 10 minutes, while you're loading and unloading the dishwasher and you're tidying up around the sides and everything, just a little bit of time on a daily basis, it doesn't amount to so much stuff that then needs to becomes a whole like, oh gosh, it's all built up again. It's going to take me hours to set it all straight. And I think that's what a lot of people just don't realize, that those daily bits are really important, that maintenance.
Absolutely. So consistency, really, really important. Get these habits firmly in your mind, in your mindset, do them every day, and then it becomes a much simpler job. And that's what we all want. We don't want it to be this mammoth thing that overwhelms us all of our life. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about community a little bit, Ingrid, because we are big on community. Okay, you're in here, you're listening to the podcast, you're in the Facebook group, you're possibly a member, you've done one of our challenges, and there is absolutely a sense of community within each of those components of what we teach and our community, in fact. And so community is, to us, is everything. Now, people view community in different ways and utilize communities in different ways. Some people go all in, don't they? And are like, love this community. I'm going to, share everything, wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit, show people what I'm working on, go deep with the sharing of the before and after photos. And that's what some people need out of a community. There are other people that are much quieter in a community. Ingrid and I are both in communities, or obviously in our own community, it's different, but we're in kind of business communities and stuff. And I get a sense that I'm in that community, but I don't post in there. I barely put a comment on what people are saying, but I still see it. I'm still inspired by it. And I still look and I still feel part of that community. So being part of a community doesn't necessarily need to mean that you go all in. It's just reading about what other people are thinking and seeing that you're amongst like-minded people and feeling that it's a safe space for you to be able to exist, however that is, whether it is you wearing your heart on your sleeve, or whether it's you being a little bit more quiet about it and quietly getting on with it in the background and just seeing it. And so community is different things, isn't it, to different people, Ingrid?
Yeah, I think some people, they contact us on a regular basis, especially when they're in our membership. They ask questions, they post in our forum, they show up at the live sessions. They need that kind of, also that accountability, but they also need to feel they're part of something bigger. And they love hanging out with the other members. While some of the people in our community are like, you know what, I'm here, I'm doing my learning, I'm pottering away, I show up occasionally, I love hanging out with you guys, I occasionally drop in a question, but I'm a bit more on the background, but they're still doing the learning and they feel they're part of something bigger. And I think that's what we hope that we've created. I think we know, but it's kind of like, we don't want to sound like, oh yeah, look at us. But I think we've created something that's bigger than us and the members and the group. I think it's a safe space. And you mentioned the safe space. And I think that's, I think, for me, really important. And for both of us, really important, that people feel they can share and that the space they can do that in is a safe space.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for us because what we, particularly in our membership where we're there, every day trying to help people with very specific circumstances, I think what we love and what we like and what we want is that we want people to share things with us. And the reason why we want that is because the more people share their journeys and their woes and their pictures and their struggles and their wins with us, the more that we can give direct input. So if someone's a little bit quieter, it's harder for us to give our inputs. But that's us and that's what we want. And that's not necessarily what somebody else wants. And so we kind of come to realize that. And we're getting so many emails now, aren't we, from people who are like, I just watch and I see, and and I don't need that part of it. So not everybody needs that. Do you know what I mean? And so because they're learning that we spoke about before in a very different way.
Yeah.
So yeah, community we think is super important because I think you need that validation to know, if you've struggled and been judged or felt ashamed, which many of the people in our communities do, it's nice to be around other people who feel the same things that you feel. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't mean that they need to be your best friend, but it just means that you need to feel that sense of connection with other people. And I think that's what's really important. So Ingrid, we have done a whistle-stop tour of the 6 things that we truly believe make for a successful decluttering journey.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of those things in all, I think, of our communities, because we've got several communities all existing in different places. We've got our free communities with our Facebook group and our podcast, and we're very, very committed to putting out free content as well every week. Every week we'll be here with our free podcast every week. We will be in the Facebook group every week, because we understand that not everybody can invest or go that next step further. But then, of course, we have our paid communities as well. And that's where we really hone our craft, and we really go all in with you guys to try and help you to get to that next step, don't we? So we look at all those things and we consider those. We have what we call in our membership our 3 pillars of success. And they are combined things that we've just spoken about in the 6 pillars. So we have inspiration and implementation is one of our pillars, learning and light bulb moments is one of our pillars, and community and consistency is our pillars. And that is what props up the Declutter Hub membership, isn't it, Ingrid?
Yes, and we absolutely adore our membership, and we would love for you, if you think to yourself, okay, 2023, this is going to be my year, or I dabbled a little bit in decluttering last year, but now I'm really ready to take that next step. Come and join us. Check out our membership. We are here for you. We've got everything for you. We've got accountability. We've got learning. We've got videos. We've got live sessions. We've got our amazing roadmap. We've got a fantastic forum where we chat with each other. We've got everything here that you need to be successful with your decluttering. So come and have a look at members.declutterhub.com to look at everything that we offer. And we'd love to help you too.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, when you're already feeling overwhelmed with clutter, sometimes to hear that there's roadmaps and library courses and Q&As and forums and member challenges and all of the things that we do, as we said earlier on when we were talking about learning, what we try and do is we try and make sure that we've got different tools that appeal to different people.
Yeah.
Now, in our membership, you don't need to work like 40 hours a week. It can seem an overwhelming amount of things. And for sure, when you first come into the membership, you're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff. But what we try and do and what we try and create there is a way that you can go through your decluttering journey at your pace, in your way. So you don't have to do all of the things, because that would be like way too much, wouldn't it? We're in memberships as well. And, we see the way, the kind of things that people are doing, and you just have to do it in your own way and take from it what appeals to you. That's the important thing, isn't it? Yeah. So, of course, at the moment, we'd love you to join our membership. Let 2023 be the year that you don't want to be. Did you think about this in 2022 and you're still in the same position? If that's you and you're like, I wanted to do it in 2022 and it didn't happen, and here I am again in 2023. Try and give yourself that boost of implementation, inspiration, community, consistency, learning and light bulbs. I've got them all in there, Ingrid, I think. And come into our membership. We do have a special offer on this week because we are running our Reset Your Home challenge. So we've got our challenge offer on, which is on that members.declutterhub.com page. And we will save you that money and then some in a heartbeat, with the kind of things that you learn and the way that your mindset will change and the way that you will attack your clutter and live with less going forwards.
Yes, we would like for you that to happen. So come and join us. We would love to see you. And yes, Leslie, 2023, we're in just a couple of days. I'm ready for it. I'm so excited.
But you know what was a bit scary was when we started. So we kind of have all our podcast notes and stuff like that in folders, and so what I saw is we've now got 6 folders going from 2018 to 2023. I'm like, 6 years of, I know it's not exactly 6 years because we started at the end of 2018. It's the beginning of 2023, but it spans 6 years, which is quite scary and quite long. We're getting really old now, Ingrid, aren't we? We'll still be here in 2024.
Well, I'm going to be 50 this year, Leslie, so I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully I can kind of hold myself together for this year. But yes, I mean, amazing. This is podcast episode 223. So 6 years of podcasts with lots of advice for everybody to listen to freely. But yeah, we're just keeping going, Leslie. Getting old, maybe a bit gray, maybe wrinkly, but we are here for you back in 2023 with lots of other great stuff to come. So so next week, let's talk about next week, because we're back as per usual. And we've got an amazing guest next week. We've got Simon Glanville. He is the owner of A Place for Everything. And it's a fantastic company with amazing storage solutions. And we're going to talk about the latest trends in storage and organizing. So I can't wait.
Excellent.
So Leslie, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Enjoy your weekend that's coming up. And thanks for listening in.
Thanks so much for listening to the Declutter Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcast player so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next week.